fear. So the legend was true. The fairy did exist. Caleb sat down in his chair by the set dining table. A roasted pig was the centerpiece, its skin glistening with oils, surrounded by lettuce, vehemently yellow dandelions, and various greens. Caleb regarded the golden plate and cutlery in front of him. He let his finest wine be poured into his golden goblet. Slowly he ran the tip of his tongue over his lips, hungry, hungry for more. Never shall he let her go. She was worth gold, literally. He chuckled into his loose fist. Finally, he had found her. She was real. Everyone doubting her was a fool. The question that begged answering, what was a fairy doing pretending to be a miller's daughter? An elder handmaid brought in the girl. What he saw pleased him dearly. The girl wore a white dress with light blue details on the long sleeves, the torso, and in some layers of her skirt. It was much better than the ripped and soiled peasant garment she had worn prior. With conceited amusement, he watched her. She had trouble adjusting to her new wardrobe, especially when it caught the chair. She yanked at it. It gave a tight, forced sound. Wide and flabbergasted eyes met his. He liked it. The handmaid was to lead her back to select a new dress, but Caleb spoke. Leave her as it is. The messy fringes in the middle of her skirt were a nice alternation. He gestured with a hand for her to sit. It suits her. Narrowing her eyes, she plopped down like a sulking sack of flour. She didn't begin her meal right away. Timid, that's what she appeared to be. Different than yesterday when she had put up a fight. After a while, he nodded and allowed her to eat. She dug in, consuming a huge amount in a very small time frame. While she bit, chewed, and swallowed her food, Caleb leaned his elbows on the table. You seem quite rested for someone who worked the entire night. Gulping the last bit in her mouth, she slowly moved her eyes up to meet his. Did he know? I was done early and decided to get some rest. Caleb curled his lips. Early, you say? How about you get some more straw this night? She stared at him in disbelief. Let's see if you can manage that in one night. Another night? She squeaked, rising. I thought you'd let me go if I did as you said. And now I am saying it again. To him, it seemed all so reasonable. You said you were done early. I merely wish to test your abilities. The handmaid came and bade her to sit down. Diane did so reluctantly, more for the woman's sake than the king's. What if I fail? She asked, the piece of bread in her hand now too thick to swallow. He grinned. If you fail, you will be free to go back to your father and live happily ever after. No more worries, no more me. She glared. You're lying. Caleb raised his goblet in cheer. I am being sarcastic. Isn't that the same? Shaking his head in disappointment, he said, Not at all. Those are two different things entirely. Lies are skillful expressions to convince your opponent of a fictitious tale. Sarcasm is to make a fool of the dumb. Her jaw dropped. He dismissed her reaction. So, he said, smiling, tell me of yourself. You are interested in my life, but not my name? What is your name? Narrowing her eyes again, she didn't know what to think of her king. He was young, barely above the age of 20. His parents had died peacefully a few years ago. They had pressed him to marry. He'd always refused. Now, she thought, it might not have been his choice to remain an unmarried and wifeless king. Diane, she mumbled. Diane, he repeated with a charming smile. What a beautiful name. She muttered a thank you, and he continued. Now, how about your life? Diane lifted her face. I am a miller's daughter. I work, bake, clean, spin, sew, feed Theodore, the donkey, tend the garden. I see you were right, he interrupted. Listening to it alone exhausts me. Her lips were parted, her throat voiceless. Now, Diane, he said, underlining her name in a threatening tone. How do you do it? Curiosity sparked in his eyes. How do you spin straw to gold? How was she supposed to know? She leaned back in the chair, thinking that her curiosity must have been worse. That mysterious man must have been angry with her thousands of questions. Yet he had never given her peevedness or infuriation. That man, who was he? Well? Adding a light sigh to his persistence, she played with a fork, a carved and sculpted piece of art on its own. Instead of searching to argue with him, she remembered that man's words to her question, much like this. She sat up straight and smiled. It's a secret. The king returned the smile. She couldn't read it, and thus didn't like it. It bore a secret itself she didn't trust, whatever it was. Well, he stood and bowed low enough to give the impression of politeness. Enjoy your meal and rest for tonight. You will have work to do. Her mouth opened, ready to protest, but he left, Valet close behind him, like a faithful dog. Are you convinced? Caleb asked. His friend walked silently. You cannot doubt her doings. She is the fairy, a real one. Her hair gives it away. Valet said nothing. He followed his king, halted with his king. Barely noting the current stay, jets of light emanated from every corner. Valet squinted until his vision adjusted to the dazzling surroundings. Do you still doubt, Valet, my friend? Caleb spread his arms. Gold, gold all around them, gold that belonged to him. No matter how much gold Valet saw, or the girl and her shining hair, he didn't approve of such a tale to be true. It was a tale for a reason. Tale or no, the straw was gone, and gold, pure golden strings, had replaced it. Leaning in to whisper, Valet held his face shadowed in the bright room amongst the most brilliant of gold. She is a witch. Caleb put a hand on Valet's shoulder and pushed him off. Go to the infirmary. He turned him around and shoved him towards the door. Your eyes must be injured from yesterday's shards. Valet grabbed the doorway. My king! And let yourself be checked for brain damage, Caleb added, slapping at Valet's clawing hands. Valet yelped and drew his hands into safety. Caleb gave his friend one last push. Valet stumbled, somehow kept his balance. King Caleb, he spun around, desperate to stay, just in time to see the door slam in his face. He winced. Caleb. Damn that witch! She and her cursed gold! He clenched a fist. It was no secret that Caleb was reputable, esteemed, worshipped, and abundant, and now, with all this gold, what were her intentions? What did she gain in spinning gold for him? Determined, he made way to the chamber appointed to the girl. He heard his feet echo in low stomps and hard on the floor. He cared little and punched open the big door. The maid was at Diane's side. Valet shooed her away, glared at Diane at those pale eyes. He hoped he scared her. What do you want from His Majesty? He demanded. Did you bewitch him and then gold? Her brows drew crinkles. She crossed her arms in defense. Excuse me? Don't act coy, Valet spat. You're a witch and deserve death. How am I at fault? I did not beg him to drag me from my home. I did not ask him to let me spin that stupid gold. I did not claim to be able to spin gold. Her words hovered about him in raging breath, finding the release she had needed. She caught understanding in his dark eyes. He knew it was true. How do I know you're not lying? Who can spin straw to gold? She shrieked. Thoughtfully, he scanned her face. So you didn't spin all that gold? And you're an ordinary human? Of course I am. But there is gold. He didn't approve of magic or witchcraft, yet he couldn't ignore the gold's factual and tangible existence. She chewed her bottom lip. That man hadn't forbidden her to talk about him, and maybe Violet would understand. I had a little help. Help? Violet arched his brows. From a fairy? Maybe it was a dream. Agnostic, he lowered a brow and crossed his arms. She grasped them. Please do not tell King Caleb. Surprised, Violet took a step back. Please do not tell him. He will kill me if not I did it. He believes you're a fairy, the one in the old legends. A fairy? Violet nodded. Yes, he can't be shaken from his thoughts, especially with that proof you presented him. You won't tell him, will you? Building a gentle frown, he said, You are human and possess no such ability? Nodding quickly, she saw her future brighten. Yes, yes, I'm human. He sighed. Then what are you doing here? Your father lied. You should be freed and your father put to death for bringing up such a lie. No! She tightened her grip on his arm. He yanked at it to get her off of him. He's my father, whatever his crimes. He admired her way of thinking. She seemed loyal and kind. She supported her family, repelling their mistakes, accepting them for how and who they were. You will be forced to work another night, he said. I'll pretend again. Violet scoffed. If she wanted to be found out, she could be his guest. You won't tell, will you? At his lengthy silence, she added, Promise? With a cold glance, he nodded, then left her. He didn't like her. She was loyal, kind, courteous, and defended what she thought to be right. These were admirable traits to own, but he didn't like her. Certainly, he wouldn't betray her sham. He didn't want to see an innocent human executed, especially not on his behalf. But there was something about her, something he simply didn't like.